Adam Wainwright, he had a 4.73 ERA last year on the road. Now, I don't know if that means there's going to be any carryover. We all know he loves to pitch at Busch Stadium, and he has had immense success there. Just great numbers. But it's been, I think the older he gets and where he loses some fastball steam and things like that, it's a little more difficult for him on the road. And that's okay, man. It's such a great environment for Wainwright at Busch Stadium. But last year he had a 4.93 ERA on the road. And talking about one other thing I wanted to look at really quick, so we have to revisit it later. Last season, last season it wasn't bad against left-handed hitters. It really wasn't. But in his first game, this first start of the year against Detroit, left-handed hit their left-handed bats hit 400 in that game with a couple of doubles, I believe, something like that. But anyway, he's that's the thing that entices me about this game. What he'll look like, not only in just his second start of the season, but his first start of the season on the road. So we'll see what happens. We're joined now by the great Hall of Fame baseball writer, Rick Hummel. He really doesn't need any introduction. We all know him and love him, so we'll just say hello. What's up, Commish?
How are you, sir?
Doing all right. Trying to figure out this baseball team of ours and see how they'll do at Fenway Park, where the Red Sox have been great at home this year. So this ought to be an interesting series. Lot of older pitchers too, which nothing wrong with that. I'm old. I believe you're a little old.
A little bit. But, James Paxton's been around with about 12 different teams, it seems like.
Yeah, Waino's up there a little bit. Paxton, Sale, Kluber. Pretty fun in a way. See all these see what kind of guile these pitchers have.
There'll be some runs scored. Let's put it that way.
That's right. I totally agree with that. Well, what do you make of the Cardinals? I mean, let's start with what was the story of the week: the Contreras demotion.
Well, that can't last. I mean, you didn't pay $87 million for a DH. Now, Kisner did produce well.
Yep.
I should say, and caught pretty well, I think. But it'd be nice for Contreras to start catching again. And, it makes your lineup easier. You can get Gorman and Donovan both in there, too, that way, which is what they need.
Right, no doubt. I just don't know what kind of timetable we're talking about. But were you, Commish, you know how much I respect your perspective. You're a lot more cool-headed than I am, but I'm just surprised that it was almost like, Mo and Marmol were like surprised that Contreras wasn't Yadier Molina. I mean, I don't know how you, I don't know how the mind works on that. I mean, Yadier Molina is one of a kind. There's no one that can do what he did for the Cardinals for so long. So I think they may be a little tough on the guy.
Well, counting Matheny's 4 years, and Mo wasn't even in charge at that point. The Cardinals have had 24 years of those two guys catching, so they had no idea what it would look like.
Such a great point. Hey, and Tom Pagnazzi wasn't any piker either.
No, there was only 4 years between him and Matheny, so you take Pags back to 86, 87, 88 when he started catching. He had 9 years, so you had 32 years out of, 22 years out of 27 or whatever. That was those three guys.
Yeah, it's a pretty amazing list of catchers. It really was. I'm like you. I think he'll be back there maybe sooner than we think, but it'll be curious to see how it goes.
Well, I mean, I'm not, if Flaherty doesn't start pitching better, I'm not sure he can start dictating who's going to catch him.
I read a piece by Dane Perry. I don't know if you know Dane, CBS Sports, and really lifelong Cardinals fan and really good analyst. He's also got his own blog now called Wordy Birds. I think that's what it is. Birdie. What is it? Birdie Words? Oh, Birdie Work. I screw that up every single time too. He wrote a really good blog about this, very thoughtful, where he thinks it's, in his view, it's getting close to the time that they're going to have to pull him from the rotation, and he laid it out very nicely. He wasn't mean. He didn't get nasty. Just some of the underlying numbers are pretty bad, and how long can they keep going that way?
You can't tell me that Liberatore is not as good as one of the five guys in the rotation. I refuse to believe that.
Right. I'm with you there. That's another thing that's kind of mystifying about the season. Starting pitching in very good. Liberatore has really found it. striking out about 35% down there at AAA Memphis, and it's like, what was the reason of making the trade? You got a crummy rotation right now. I don't know.
Isn't Memphis' record kind of opposite of what the Cardinals is?
I think it is. Commish, do you think O'Neill's going to be ready to come back here? He's starting they hope he starts a rehab assignment Monday or Tuesday or whatever. But they did as best as they could. They streamlined the outfield traffic. But then with O'Neill coming back, that's going to mean maybe a little more of a log jam, or they're going to send down a couple play. I don't know. Now they have a log jam at they have too many DHs, as you noted earlier. So what do you think will happen when O'Neill? They're certainly going to give him another chance here. What do you think will happen when he returns?
I think I've thrown that towel in on him because A, you can't necessarily depend on him, and B, if it comes down to Paul DeJong and O'Neill, Paul DeJong's a better player.
He definitely is.
I mean, I know they don't play the same position, but Donovan plays left field. That gets in, and then Donovan and Tyler O'Neill, who's a better player. Well, Donovan is.
He can certainly do more things.
Yeah, and Carlson.
He looks good. He looks good out there too,
yeah.
Donovan. I'm sorry. He looks really like he can handle it pretty well.
I'm not sure I want to see Yepes try to battle that monster this series. I think I might try to keep him.
No.
He's a left-hander going tonight. I don't know if he's in the lineup or not, but
he is.
Well, that could be. If he's DHing, it's okay, but he's not, of course.
So, yeah, we'll see. Let me just double-check on that, and I apologize for hesitating, but I wanted to look it up real quick because I do have the lineup in front of me. So he's oh, my goodness, he's in left field. Ooh is right. Adventures.
Well, you play, you can't go back very far, so you kind of play on the warning track and come in.
Oh man, that'll be fun. That'll be part of the appeal of tonight's game. Yeah, the lineup, in case some of our listeners didn't hear it right at the top of the show. Edman at second, Goldschmidt, Contreras is the DH. Arenado still hitting cleanup. Yepes in left, Carlson in center, DeJong at short, Nootbaar in right, and Kisner is the catcher. Let's talk about I want to get back to DeJong after this, but since Arenado's batting cleanup, and I'm not blasting the manager for doing it, but how surprised are you to see kind of the stark nature of this slump he's been? It looks like he's coming out of it, but this has been pretty. I know slumps are inevitable, but this was a pretty harsh one.
Yeah, well, he's got 11, 12 years in. There's nobody better suited to bat cleanup on this team than he is, unless you wanted to do it with Goldschmidt. And Goldschmidt needs to be high on the order because he gets on base more. He's having a good year as a second hitter, as a third hitter, whatever place you put him in. Arenado, we can't put him any higher than that because he can't get on base. He's got to drive in runs hitting fourth for you. And then, everybody's wrong if he doesn't do it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Getting back to DeJong, there have been so many stories during his, the tough years he's had, and he's always changing this, he's changing that. He might get hot for a little while, and then it sort of reverts. It really looks like these changes are working great for him, in that he is remaining faithful to all that hard work he did to change things in the offseason. I see him for real. Maybe not to keep these numbers up, because over a long period of time they're going to go down some anyway. Do you see him as, quote, being for real?
I do. I've pretty much been on that island by myself out there in the media here. And
you have.
And I can't swim, so that's a very dangerous existence for me. But
he looks so good, though.
Yeah.
He looks good. He really does.
When he starts playing against most right-handers, that'll be the key. He's played against all the left-handers, and of course you'll play against Sale. And will he play against Kluber? Well, maybe not. That's 2 out of 3, but I want to see him play. He's not striking out much. He's hitting .367. He's got 3 bombs. His OPS has got to be around 900 or 1,000. And what's not to like? I mean, he's a wonderful fielder.
He really is.
Edman's a better second baseman than a shortstop anyway, I think. But all this works better if Contreras is catching, because you got one too many guys if Kisner's catching.
It's 100%. I agree with that one too. It's still kind of complicated as long as they sort of have that knot that they're trying to work out to get Contreras back to the plate, whatever it is they're looking for. Commish, what do you think is a reasonable expectation in general? Not necessarily Fenway Park, although it's part of what I'm going to ask you about. What's a reasonable expectation for Adam Wainwright this season?
10 wins, maybe. He only needs 5 for 200. He pitched over. He should have won the other day. He pitched well enough to win that one, but he didn't. Pitching in that ballpark makes me a little nervous tonight. But
yeah,
the Red Sox, it'll be an interesting series to watch because the Red Sox aren't the same team that we've been used to seeing. I mean, Big Papi's been retired for a long time. I mean, Devers is still there, but Bogarts is not. And most of their guys are not there when the last time the Cardinals played them have any, guys of any consequence, So, I mean, the Japanese guy, they haven't faced him before. Verdugo, they haven't really faced him before. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, and they're loading up their lineup with left-handed hitters. They got a lot of that, so we'll see how Wainwright does. But I thought he looked pretty good. I mean, that fifth inning was kind of weird, but I thought he looked pretty good in the first 4. Really sharp first 4+ innings. So I think. Do you think his presence for a team that has had a lot of turmoil and obviously a lot of failure, do you think his mere presence is good for the team?
Well, I don't think it hurts. I'm not sure how much he brings. I mean, he's going to have to be better than some of the guys who pitch. They don't want to have another guy who's the same. We've got enough of those. Right.
Well, that's going to have to get to work, or they're going to have to get to work to improve that. One more thing. The defense is not the same this year, and all the different rankings, whatever you pay attention to, as far as just whether they're converting batted balls into outs or whatever, and they're down from last year, which surprised me. And I know the shift limitations are a factor in that, but the other 29 teams have to deal with those as well, and the Cardinals keep sliding down the list, like defensive runs saved, all that stuff. And even the base running, and I know they got to be a little careful because they're so far behind in games, but they don't seem to be running the bases as well as sharply as they did last year. Does that surprise you?
A little bit, but when you talk about defense, they still have the first baseman and the third baseman. If they didn't have those guys, they'd be right at the bottom in defense. Whatever standing they have now is owed to those two guys.
Yeah, and so they need to clean that stuff up. It's a long list of things to clean up. But the division is waiting for them to do that. They're giving them the chance. They really are.
I don't see any wild card coming out of that division, and I'll tell you why. Because they don't play each other often enough where you can't pile up 13 or 14 wins against a team. You only play them 13 times to begin with.
Right.
So,
right.
I mean, what are the 7 or 8 games out? I mean, I'm not chasing the Pittsburgh Pirates. I'm chasing the Brewers.
There's no doubt about
anybody else except the Brewers.
I totally agree with that. Commish, I hope you have a good weekend. It's always a joy to talk to you, my friend. So we'll talk again next week. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Yep. Thank you. That's our friend Rick Hummel here on the Bernie Show. Yeah, I did a little math exercise today before we take a break. And by the way, I'm just giving you an assurance. This is not gobbledygook. This is pretty easy to understand things. 1 second. Need to get to it as usual. That's one thing I don't apologize for, because I'm not going to have like 3 or 4 laptops opened at the same time during the show. So sometimes I got to move around a little bit. But I was looking at, here, I can find it this way too. Here we go. And I apologize. Okay. In the month of April, Pittsburgh, Milwaukee, Chicago, and Cincinnati, they had all 4 of them collectively, they had a .571 winning percentage, which is damn good, right? In the month of May so far, those 4 teams are 11-26.
Ooh, wow! It's just sitting there for them, isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is. I mean, those teams were 64-48 in April, the first month, I should say, and 11-26. As we sit here going into play on May the 12th. So the door's wide open, but the Cardinals just like we were talking about yesterday, and I can direct people to scoopswithdannymac.com to read a longer piece, like the same thing. The Cardinals have the division is clearly there to be taken, even with a team that's 8 games out of first place. And look, it's 8 games at May 12th, but that's just part of it. I mean, they got 124 games to go, so it's there for the taking. But one minor thing, sarcastically, it's actually a really big thing. They have got to improve in so many areas. And we went over it yesterday, although I made a mistake in where I said they ranked in runs per game. They're down. They weren't as down as what I said. I think I just had a typo when I was looking at on my notes. But I apologize for that nonetheless. They're sort of middle of the pack offensively, but they're really, really doing a poor job of getting runners in. They got second most men left on base this year. And their percentage of driving in runners on base, it's just a simple thing. Well, how many guys you have on base? How many of them do they score? You add it up over the course of the season, you get an idea of whether they're taking advantage of opportunities. And the Cardinals, in that percentage, they're I don't know, like 24th, 25th, something like that. So they've left a lot of stuff on the table. But the offense, I know it sounds crazy to say because it is disappointing. And Arenado hasn't got going. They're messing around with Contreras. Marmol is getting closer, I think, to sort of settling on a lineup, but you're going to have a right-handed pitcher lineup, a left-handed pitcher lineup. But the Cardinals' offense at least is salvageable, but, man, whether the division is soft or not, I mean, you can't have this kind of starting pitching, and you can't have this kind of bullpen, and you can't be sitting here where your defense is really declining and your base running has not been good at all. I mean, they've dropped way down as far as taking extra bases. Heck, from yesterday's show until now, the Cardinals dropped again. Like sometimes the fielding Bible, the defensive run saves, sometimes they don't always issue an update every single day. Sometimes it's like once every 2 days or whatever. But since the last time I talked to you about this, the Cardinals were 17th in the majors in defensive run saved. Now they're 19th. They just keep going down and down and down. They're in the minus category by 5. And some of that was Jordan Walker in right field. But the bottom line is this is not a good defensive club. It is in spots. I'm not saying everybody's bad. But overall, it's just not a good club defensively this year. And you know what? When you have, what do we expect exactly? You have a starting rotation that doesn't strike people out. They don't miss many bats. They give up a huge slugging percentage because the ball's in play so frequently. So when you have a pitching staff that that just can't punch a lot of hitters out, and the ball's going to be in play a lot, your defense better be really, really good. But when you have a starting rotation where the ball's in play a lot and your defense has kind of eroded, that would be called a little mini baseball disaster right there.
Yes, I like the way you put that. 100%. It has been a mini baseball disaster.
Because that's the worst combination you can have, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You got to, pitch well and catch the ball well, and you know what? You got a fighting chance. They don't score enough runs, and they don't do the last two that I just said very well at all. And that just tells you right there, you have no shot at winning baseball games and being competitive on a nightly basis.
So, I'm going to repeat something real quick, and then we'll take a break. The opportunity is there because I think I agree with commission. I think most of us do. But even with some of their bullpen issues and with the fact that, Woodruff is out, they're still a dangerous team. And I'm talking about Milwaukee, and I still think they're the team to beat. Because among other things, they got, by far the best manager in the division. And the other thing, and I want to throw this in because this is really interesting to me. Because we talk about the pitching coach, but let's branch out and talk about the entire coaching staff, right?
Mm-hmm.
When the Braves traded William Contreras to Milwaukee, what was written and said in Atlanta, and they weren't being mean, but they say, look, this guy's got great power, and he's a great guy, but he is really, really raw defensively. He's just not a good catcher. And people made clear in saying that Wilson was a much better catcher than William. And we all know Wilson Contreras, doesn't have a sterling reputation for defense, but I also think it's been exaggerated. But William was there was even talk in Milwaukee. It's like, well, they're going to try him at catcher, but he's probably going to end up as a DH. They were talking about the wrong Contreras, apparently. No, but I looked at his deal last year, and he was really, really, really bad. He was really bad behind the plate. He's one of the best catchers defensively in the majors right now. I mean, he transformed just like that. And I was asking one of my friends up in Milwaukee about that and said, well, the coaching staff got him straightened out right away. And that kind of thing just really infuriates me because Atlanta gave up a kid that was an all-star DH last year, and he didn't play full-time, but he still hit 20 home runs or whatever. And they just kind of figured out, like, there's no way he can catch the way we need him to, because they started to DH him last year. And this dude goes to one spring training with Milwaukee and that great manager and that great coaching staff. And after one spring training, all of those flaws have been ironed out, and everyone's like, wow, he's actually good. So for people, and I don't know how many people there are, actually, I don't know why I said that, but for anyone who thinks managing and the manager doesn't matter, the coaches don't matter, let's take a look at the Contreras brothers. They absolutely matter who's coaching them and who's managing them. Look at that. I don't know who did it, but that coaching staff in Milwaukee, which is incredibly smart, as the manager is, they got him straightened out defensively literally in a matter of weeks. It's really just disgusting, the brain power, the way it has gone down in this organization. And don't you think that's a great example of what we're talking about?
Yeah.
How can they fix William that soon? How can they do that? They did it.
They are. I might add, if you don't mind, they did this with Willie Adames. I mean, he's turned into a bona fide bat in the middle of that lineup. They did it with Rowdy Tellez. I mean, he was in Toronto. I was like, we don't have any use for this guy. He's not consistent enough. And he hit 30 home runs a year ago, and he's got 10 already this year. I mean,
he's good.
You see what they're doing with the talent, and they've done it with a number of middle reliever guys over the course of their time. They get a couple guys here and there, and you go, well, he's just, oh, no, wait, he can contribute and be a factor in the seventh inning, in the sixth inning for that franchise over and over. And what you're saying about Contreras, for them, it's amazing. It's just, especially when you throw out the fact, and look, Atlanta's a really good organization. They've done a good job of putting things together. They said they couldn't fix him. Well, Milwaukee said, okay, let us give a shot. Here we are. It's only May 12th, and they've got some things figured out with him, which is that even puts it in more perspective when you go, well, it's only May 12th, and they've already fixed it. Here in St. Louis, it's only May 12th, and they've already decided we can't fix this thing, and it needs more time to sit and watch. And
it's just crazy.
Yeah, you got a guy who's caught, I don't know, we're over 9 years into his career, and all of a sudden, we're not going to have him catch a game at all for at least 2 weeks. What the heck is that? It's just silly. It really is.
You look at Milwaukee, and because we just talked about
Cam Jansen here. Meet the new kids on the block, Block Dispensary. They have 5 locations in Missouri, including Richmond Heights and Valley Park. At Block BLOC, their friendly staff specializes in customer experience and education to help you find exactly what's right for you. They make it easy to get your medical card through their partnership with LeafWell. Visit their website, blockdispensary.com, and use Block25 at checkout for $25 off your medical card. Follow them on Instagram at Meet Us at the Block. Our mission is to help people feel better. This is how we roll.
Charlie Marlowe here to tell you about Schnucks Rewards. With Schnucks Rewards, you can earn 2% back on every purchase. It's simple. Shop, earn, redeem. Just show your barcode in the app or use your phone number at checkout. Not only do you get points for money off, you can also shop directly in the app to order delivery or curbside. You schedule, Schnucks delivers. It's effortless. You'll also find hundreds of exclusive digital offers and coupons. It's personalized savings delivered to you in an instant. Download the Schnucks Rewards app and start saving money today.
How badly the Cardinals defense has declined. So I just opened up Fielding Bible, and the Brewers right now, they rank second in the majors with 23 runs saved defensively. The Cardinals are 19th, and they're a -5 on runs saved defensively. I mean, to be honest with you, and this is a little self-serving. I don't mean it that way. I apologize. This, to me, is a hugely underreported, overlooked story because we've all been obsessed, as we should be, with the starting pitching and some of the bullpen problems. By the way, the Cardinals have the most blown saves in the majors this year, 10. But unless I'm missing it, I'm not seeing much at all. And, Jim, if I'm missing it, you tell me, man. I'm just not seeing much talk, much reporting, much scrutiny of how badly their defense has declined. And that is a huge part of this team because, again, what we just said, if your pitchers do not strike many out, which they don't, and the ball is in play a lot, which it is, if your defense goes from 4th best in the majors and now you're at 19 and still sliding, that's why this story, this development, should not be overlooked. It should be a big deal because without a really terrific 2022 season caliber defense behind them, these pitchers ain't going to have much of a chance to get to a respectable level because there's just too many balls in play for that to happen. And the defense ain't anywhere close to where it was last year in terms of quality.
I think it would be reported and talked about more if, and this sounds silly, but this has been a franchise that's won a lot, and they've been winning, and they've been, near the top of their division. So when one little aspect isn't going right, you focus in on that. But because there's so many things to focus on, and it's glaring about the pitching, you go, yeah, but the other stuff, we'll work on that later. When the reality is, if you don't get your defense straightened out, don't worry about it. Don't matter if you pitch or if you hit. You're not going to win anything unless you catch the baseball. Nobody wins unless you can play defense. It's just that simple.
The Cardinals, in terms of their defense, let's just throw this in here real quick, position by position. Look, and you all know it's so many combinations of people that have played positions. It's a little, it can be confusing. But I'm just going to do like positions as a group, and no matter how many people have manned those positions. Like the Cardinals pitchers, believe it or not, play good defense. I mean, I know people don't think of that much. Maybe we should, but for whatever it's worth, they're a +3. The catcher position is neutral. It's 0, but that doesn't mean it's bad. It just means it's average. At first base, I never trust these things when it comes to Paul Goldschmidt because this is truly one thing that valuation methods for first baseman are really kind of shaky. And they have him as an average first baseman, and we know he's more than that. At second base, the Cardinals are a -5. Now, the natural instinct is to blame that on Gorman. Gorman has played better at second base this year than Donovan. Gorman is not a plus defender, but he's okay. I don't think he's hurt them with his fielding. Donovan had really struggled at second base, and that was his natural position. But, he was a slightly below average guy at second base last year, and he was really good pretty much everywhere else. Okay, third base, Nolan Arenado, 1 defensive run saved. I assume that's him. But again, sometimes he starts off a little slow and rolling up these defensive runs saved, and I'm sure that'll come along. Shortstop, they're a -1. Tommy Edman, by his standards, has been off defensively this year. You go to left field, the Cardinals are a +1. In center field, they're a -3. I don't think that's Carlson. And in right field, they're a -6. That's because of Jordan Walker, who was 5 runs below average defensively before he was sent down. So that's a lot of positions that are average or below average. There's just not much there that jumps out at you. That's troubling.
It's very troubling. I will add, when your discussion of second base, Tommy Edman hasn't been very good at second base when he's been there. He's made a few errors that, again, it's uncharacteristic of him, but the fact remains he's making the errors. You don't expect that from him, but he is making errors this year that he has not made in the past. It's been a disappointment from that standpoint.
No, I agree with you. Let me do this real quick, so we can have a better breakdown, because I want to get to that. At second base this year. Well, how about this? I mean, it backs me up, and I haven't checked lately. Nolan Gorman is rated as exactly average at second base. Based on the eye test, that seems right.
Yeah, I would agree.
He's made good plays, and he seems to have a little better range. Tommy Edman's a -1 at second base, and Brendan Donovan's -4. So so let's just do let's just make sure we check our narratives before we start talking about him. Well, it's like, this means Gorman's going to have to play second base. They can't DH him. No problem. I'll take his offense in exchange for average defense at second. Who wouldn't, right?
Absolutely, you would.
And Donovan, again, man, I'm not saying this to slam him in any way. I'm not. But he wasn't all that hot at second base last year, and this year definitely not that good. At shortstop this year, Tommy Edman's a -1, so he is like a -2. He just hasn't had a good start, right?
Yeah, for whatever reason. It doesn't mean he can't get it fixed. He just hasn't been the same guy for, I don't know.
And Paulie DeJong's played almost 106 innings there, and he's rated as average, and that's going to go up the more he plays shortstop, because his whole career has been above average at shortstop defensively. Arenado has actually saved 2 runs defensively when they've put Gorman over there a little bit, only 25 innings, and he's a -1. If you got a guy's a -1 or even like a -2, it's really not all that bad as long as they're contributing what they should in offense. Okay, left field you got O'Neill a +1, Carlson a +1, Donovan a +1, Nootbaar even, Yepez and Burleson are both a -1. Let's go to center field. In center field, Nootbaar's a +1, O'Neill's a -2, and they got Carlson as a -2. That surprises me a little bit. I do think that there's been some things hit to the more shallow part at center field. He's had some problems with, but listen, he's still the best center fielder this team has, and I think those metrics will start to climb the more he plays. In right field, Jordan Walker, before he was sent down, I was off by 1. -6. He just wasn't ready to play. He just wasn't ready.
Yeah.
And I think the way the Cardinals have handled Jordan Walker is Exhibit A. Well, it's pretty close to Exhibit A as far as the way the so-called Cardinal way has expired. I'm going to say it again. Last season, this kid didn't play a game in the minors in the outfield until August 5th, maybe even a little later. Now, by then, you concluded somehow it occurred to them, who do we have playing third base? Oh, yeah, that's right. It's Nolan Arenado. So why in the hell did it take you 5 months to move Walker into right field or left field where he's never played either? And so the time he could have been learning how to play the position was 100% wasted. And why was it wasted? I have no idea, because it's absolutely idiotic. And so then they get all caught up in the excitement. And even though, I harped about this a lot, late in spring training, he did not hit at all. And he, he's got a great arm, but he was nowhere close to being a finished product as an outfielder. And we saw the problems he had this year. Again, we talk about the Cardinal way. Hell, they're even screwing up the best prospect they've had in a long time. They're already screwing him up. Right?
100%.
It's just crazy, man.
As you brought that up, I was just thinking, and I probably forgot this, but I think we're all having this thought in our mind, and what in the world's going on in the clubhouse? Because we know there's something not right. And the scenario what you just brought up was the Walker situation. And guys know when they're on a team. They know what's going on, or they know who's the best player, who's not the best player. You can't tell me that group of outfielders didn't go, Jordan Walker's not ready to play.
Yeah, and they're nice guys. They're not going to stab him in the back, but you sit around and you talk about stuff, yeah.
You go, hey, the kid's not ready to go play the outfield right now. And yet I'm sitting and I'm watching. Hold on a minute here. What's going on? I'm not saying that is what's happening, but we're searching for reasons on why this team is not right, and they're not right. Throw that scenario into the whole bag of hammers that we're trying to figure out what's going on. I mean, nobody wants to probably mention that, but I can probably guarantee you there's guys that have been there and they say, wait a minute, I've been here 2 or 3 years. Mm-hmm. I love the kid. We're going to help him. He's our teammate. But you're going to tell me he's a better outfielder than I am right now? Hold on a minute. What's going on with the management crew here right now? It's not fair to Jordan, but that's another scenario that they've thrown out that's just completely backfired, and I got to imagine it soured the taste within the locker room.
He would have been so much better to start the season in Memphis, and it would not have been viewed as like, oh, I guess he's not as good as – no, it really wouldn't – that would have been a bogus opinion. He's 20 years old. He never played above AA. And, he's clearly a work in progress. And in defense, he's really a work in progress. And, I still see people complaining, that he was optioned out. And, the fact that he's hitting the fact that he had about a 62% ground ball rate with a lot of folks, it's kind of like, well, so what? And that's the old, you can't, you're missing the forest for the trees. I mean, a guy that hits a ball that hard, he's got to do more than hit ground balls hard, okay? For him to even come close to reaching his potential, he's got to get the ball in the air. I mean, you can't have a guy that big and strong. Ground ball, ground ball, ground ball, ground ball, So the Cardinals, in terms of optioning him, they were completely justified. But they were stupid for putting him on the roster right away, the big league roster.
Didn't give him a chance to become more of a finished product before he got here.
Right.
Now it's hurting him big time.
So the brain drain is just a kind of an alarming thing. I know everybody makes mistakes, but this organization is on a roll down a hill into the ditch. It's just sad, man. I wish I could say good things about him, but it's really, really hard to do. And I just wonder when a true shakeup is coming. Bringing Juan Yepes up, which I welcome, is not a shakeup. Because, it's like you have so many outfielders in the organization, on the 40-man roster, that you at any given time you have no idea what to do with them. Even though Jordan, again, I think justifiably was optioned out to improve. And so, okay, you bring up another outfielder. Oh, that's your shakeup. Oh, great job. And again, it's nothing against a kid.
No, this is all organizational moves that are just awful.
And I kind of like the look of Donovan in left field, but offensively, he's still fighting things. He's still trying to, maybe back off whatever changes he made in his swing. So I don't know what kind of offense he's going to provide out there. I mean, he's looked good in left, but O'Neill, and I ain't defending him, but he was in the brief time that he's played center or left field this year, he's been a plus defender. He just, the offense just isn't anywhere. It's not even the same hemisphere of where it should be. So, and then I think, listen, Nootbaar's fine. I don't, other than to talk about how well he did in a game or something, there's really no reason to include him in this conversation. Because this guy's about 30% above league average offensively. He's having a really good year. It took him a while to get going, but for good reason. And he's also playing really well in right field. There's just no – when we talk about the outfield, like what the hell are they going to do? They got too many guys. Nootbaar is excused from the conversation. He doesn't fit in that. He's the one solid guy, right?
Yeah, I'd agree with that one. Need more from Carlson.
Yeah, I was just about to talk about that too.
Go ahead.
Let me hold on 1 second.
Didn't mean to jump ship on you.
No, man, you're fine, brother. You're fine. It's just interesting because, see, what happens is like, I'm trying to think of the good way to describe this. When things are so bleak and the outfield was like this big jigsaw puzzle, and nobody could put anything together. The manager didn't know who he should play. He was trying to play them all, couldn't do it. Guys weren't getting at bats. So when a Dylan Carlson gets the chance to play more regularly, what happens? And I'm included in this, by the way. I ain't criticize anybody. You look at that, and so we kind of blow out of proportion how good he is. Like he got on a little run there. He was fine, but it wasn't anything dramatic. And yes, he is the best center fielder on this team. Doesn't mean he's Gold Glove, but he's better than the other choices, and that for now that's fine. But if you look at him in terms of offensively this season so far, and exactly 100 plate appearances, 226 average, 270 on base percentage. And the one thing the guy always could do until last season is get on base at a high rate. 27% this year. That's, for those that don't care about on base percentage, that's really bad. I'm just translating for you. That's really bad. And his slugging percentage is 355. The OPS is 625. There's nothing special about any of those numbers. Not at all. In fact, to you, I'm not going to explain the fancy pants stat, but I trust it, and it's an easy thing to understand when I deliver it the way I do. Carlson right now is 28% below league average offensively. So, I'm not doing this to pick on him. I'm just saying the outfield situation other than Nootbaar has been so bad that you look at Dylan Carlson and he makes a few nice catches and he'll have a good game or two offensively, and they're like, well, we got our center fielder. And it's like, whoa, tap the brakes a little. I mean, I think that, again, when things are so messed up and things are bad, you'll take any little glimmer of hope from anybody. And yet, if you really want to be truly honest about this, Dylan Carlson's not having that much of a season. I hope that changes.
Yeah, I'm there with you. I mean, if I said Carlson's going to hit 12 homers this year and have an on base of maybe 290, you would go, whoa, wait a minute. That's not good enough.
Right.
And that's kind of where we're at right now with him. He's played better, and we've seen glimpses of it getting better. But it's not consistent enough to where you go, oh, he's fine. He's nowhere near ready to be the guy that he could be consistent enough to go, oh, yeah, we're good in center. You're not right now.
And it's just like everywhere you turn, you're like, and I'm not laughing at him. All right. So we know that historically he's had a hard time against right-handed pitchers, right?
Yes.
And he's walloped left-handed pitchers, right? So this year so far, you know what he is against lefty pitchers who he has owned throughout his career? He's 36% below average offensively against lefties, which is where he should be very, very strong because he has been up until now. And we talk about, this is a really big talking point on Bally Sports Midwest. He's figured it out. He can hit. Look at him hitting those right-handed pitchers. See, he's figuring things out.
I hear him.
He's done better, but he's still 25% below the league average offensively against right-handed pitchers. So you see my point, and I know I'm overselling the point. Things are so distorted because that outfield has been so terribly disappointing. We're looking at these numbers, the numbers I gave you, and people are actually kind of excited about it. And so I kind of talked to myself today, and I just said, you know what? Come on, let's try to keep this thing real, okay? As much as we want him to do better, and better, there's a little like you said, there might be three or four games where it looks good, and then he sort of reverts back to where he was. The bottom line, he's well below average offensively against either lefties or righties, and you hang your hat on his defense, but that's despite what Fielding Bible says, I think he's above average. But again, let's not get carried away here, right?
Yes,
it's nothing great.
I would also throw in the fact, let's just say he is better, more than above average defensively. This is not a lineup that can carry a really good defensive center fielder that can't hit. This is a lineup that needs their center fielder to be productive right now for them. That, there have been teams where John Jay wasn't awful, but John Jay was good enough defensively, and they had so many other bats. It's like, it doesn't matter what he does. He doesn't
totally
have to hit home runs. But this is not the team that can do that. They need offensive production out of Dylan Carlson, and he's not there right now.
You know what the Cardinals – let me do this real quick, and then we'll take a break. You know what the Cardinals are? Let me try to find this. From the center field position offensively this year. And that also includes Nootbaar early when he wasn't hitting yet, and it includes O'Neill. But what they've done so far – hold on, I'm there. What they've done so far offensively from center field is a .247 batting average, which ranks 28th from the center field position, a .297 on-base percentage, which is below 300. Anything below 300 is garbage. They're at .297. The slugging percentage, they've gotten a little pop, but it's just barely over 400. So if you look at their OPS from the center field position, it's like 22nd in the majors. So so he's a little better defensively than some other people that they could put out there. But what's the trade-off? It's just not a very good that position is not producing all that much offense if you go by the facts and the rankings and everything like that. In fact, I'm looking at this too. Okay, well, what about home runs? I mean, they got 5 home runs, and that's okay. That's about middle of the pack. But no, it's just not much going on there,
Mm-hmm. It's got to be better.
There's not much going on there.